Okay, I'm good to go whenever you are, Amy.
All right, sounds good. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's Sustainable Holidays event. On behalf of the Queen's Sustainability Office, we're happy to be partnering with Sustainable Kingston as part of our Sustainable Living series. And I will now hand it over to our presenter for the day, Tess Whitman. Thank you, Tess.
Uh, Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. My name is Tess Whitman, and I'm the Community Engagement Specialist at Sustainable Kingston. I just want to say thank you for joining us today with this webinar on sustainable holidays. I just want to start off with a bit of housekeeping. So this webinar will be recorded and posted on Sustainable Kingston's YouTube channel after. If you have any questions, you can either type them in the chat box as we go, and Amy or someone from the Queen Sustainability Office will answer for you, or I will answer them at the end. I'll also be posting my email after, so if you think of questions later on or it doesn't get answered, you can follow up with me later. As well, everyone is just on mute right now, just for ease of the presentation. So yeah, I think that's everything. So I'm going to get started. Here is a quick overview of what I will be discussing today. I'll begin with a quick introduction on Sustainable Kingston. Then I'll go over how impactful the holiday season is on the environment. Then I'll provide some sustainable ideas on decorating, food, and gift giving, and then follow that up with a Q&A period. So, Sustainable Kingston, we are a nonprofit organization with a mission to enhance the livability and resiliency of Kingston. We do this by sharing knowledge and providing programs that drive community action. We use these 6 priority areas as the basis for our actions and reporting. So those are in the image in the top left. So sustainable transportation, economic prosperity, climate action, sense of community, environmental stewardship, and food security. You may recognize us from some of our events in the community. For example, that top middle photo is Pitch in Kingston. So that's the annual community-wide cleanup. In 2019, we had almost 10,000 people participate. We also host the annual Kingston Climate Change Symposium. So just a bit of a small plug, as our 2021 symposium is coming up this January virtually. And it actually features keynote speaker Severin Cullis Suzuki. Just a quick bit of information on her if you haven't heard of her. But at just 12 years old, she delivered her famous speech at the Rio Earth Summit, pleading for the delegates to preserve the planet. Since then, Severin has continued to advocate for intergenerational justice, justice for future generations, speaking to audience around the world about the necessity of returning to our deepest human values and acting with the future in mind when it comes to environmental sustainability. And she has also recently become the executive director of the David Suzuki Foundation. In addition to her, we will also have David Phillips, senior climatologist for Environment Canada, Henrique Espinitz, PhD candidate on regenerative and circular approaches for cities and buildings, and Lori Nichols, CEO of Second Harvest. For more information and how to register for the event, you can just go to Sustainable Kingston's website or check out our social media. And then just a couple other things. We also teach the importance of the 3 R's and how to recycle to elementary schools. This year, we made a video format, which can be found on our YouTube channel and website. And lastly, we run a business sustainability program called sustainably.eco. We work with local businesses and organizations to assist and celebrate their sustainability accomplishments. More information can be found either at sustainably.eco or on the Sustainable Kingston website. So without further ado, I will get into information on sustainable holidays. So to begin, the impacts of the holiday season. I think it's important to know the effects of the holiday season just to remind and inspire yourself why you're going the extra mile to be more sustainable. As the season often comes with single-use decorations, consumerism, and potentially lots of trash. as many of these items aren't really made to last more than a year or so without being put in landfill. So just a few statistics to start it off. Canadians spend an average of $1,706 over the holiday season. This is based on a 2019 stat. The average Canadian family throws out 25 to 45% more garbage over the holidays. And Canada is estimated to use 545,000 tons of wrapping paper and 6 million rolls of tape. So to put perspective on that, for wrapping paper, that would cover Kingston 15 times. Canada is also estimated to send 2.6 billion cards. And according to a survey conducted this year, nearly 94% of Canadians are planning to do at least some of their shopping online, with 64% saying that it would be the majority of their gift giving. This can be fairly problematic with the lack of transparency, transportation emissions, packaging waste, and not supporting the local economy. As well, this may not be as big of an issue this year, but travel associated with visiting family and friends over the holidays, any electrical waste with battery toys, lights, etc., as well as food waste can be a large environmental issue over this season with all the food we don't eat specifically. So according to one estimate, around 54 million platefuls of food are thrown out in the UK each Christmas. And in the US, Americans waste on average 5 million more pounds of food between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And this doesn't even consider the waste production with water, food, labor, transportation, etc. So going forward, just really want to put importance on reflecting on your purchases. So now I'll be going into a bit more of the fun stuff around decorating, food, and gift giving. So holiday decorating. When decorating for the holidays, it's important to think about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Looking at the entire lifeline of an item before you buy it. So I always suggest trying to be creative with sustainability. So trying to use what you already have, or when you look into new products, trying to buy secondhand, using hand-me-downs, items that you can reuse over and over, or you can make something yourself. For example, making your own ornaments or garland. And a few things to keep in mind: trying to avoid lots of plastic and plastic wrapping and items that are just generally difficult to recycle, as well as using LED lights. If you've been downtown Kingston recently, you'll notice the City of Kingston and Tourism Kingston's light installations, and those are all LEDs. Then there's glitter. We see it everywhere during the holidays, not only on wrapping paper, but cards, ornaments, and just decorations in general. Glitter is generally just a bunch of little bits of plastic, so it's best to avoid it in your decorations, as well as tinsel isn't ideal, but if you have it, try to use it, but you can look into alternative garlands that you can either purchase or create yourself. And then the big question is trees, whether to go artificial or real. And there's definitely some pros and cons to both. Real trees have a carbon footprint of about 3.5 kilograms of CO2 equivalents, and artificial trees have a footprint of about 40, just based on the materials, not including transportation. So it takes about 10 to 12 years to match the footprint of a natural tree that is composted at the end of its life. Artificial trees can usually be difficult to recycle, depending on which one you get. A lot of them end up in landfill. Real trees also support the local economy, and they don't have the same transportation emissions. Holiday trees can also provide wildlife habitat, protect soil, moderate floods and drought, filter air, and sequester carbon while they grow. Just be sure if you use a real tree to try and dispose of it properly. The City of Kingston doesn't collect Christmas trees, but you can drop them off at the Leaf and Yard Waste Depot at the Kingston Area Recycling Center, CARC, on Lappins Lane, free of charge. So if you have more questions about the tree debate, you can ask myself later, or I know Queen's Sustainability did a lot of research on that last year. Moving on to holiday food. The season often comes with a lot of delicious food. However, as mentioned earlier, the footprint of food can be quite large over the holidays. So I have a few ideas to keep in mind to lower your food footprint. So first is just trying to plan ahead. Before you go grocery shopping, take an inventory of what you already have on stock. Try not to overbuy and then end up having to throw out food you didn't use. Trying to share ingredients with either people you live with or your neighbors for things that you only need a little bit of, for example, like spices. I like to organize my refrigerator in advance so that the items I need to use first are at the front, because oftentimes if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and it'll just go to waste at the back of my fridge. And planning your menu to be realistic about portion sizes. I can be really bad for this and just making far too much food. There are actually online calculators if you need help assessing. For example, there's one called Guessimator. So if you're doing a lot of cooking and baking over the holidays, you can also consider buying in bulk to reduce the packaging waste. And then not only planning ahead, but planning after for loving your leftovers. So trying to use them. So for example, peels and bones make really great stock. There's also a website called the Love Food, Hate Waste Canada campaign, and they have tons of great recipes and meal ideas for leftover food if you're feeling a little uncreative from the holidays. Depending on your plans this year with dinners, you can give guests a doggy bag container for the dinner they don't finish, or better yet, have them just take their own Tupperware container with them so that they can bring it afterward. Using your freezer as a lifeline to rescue leftovers for another time. And you can make it a fun activity. So you can try and enlist a cleanup team of your family or friends and making cleanup part of the celebration where you can learn about recycling and teaching the importance of food waste. And then with certain foods, you could donate them to a local food bank. And then lastly on food, when possible, trying to purchase from local producers. Not only is it often fresher and supports the local economy, you'll use fewer food miles, less packaging, and you can feel confident that you haven't supported any intensive farming practices. And now all about gifting. Gifting is quite a popular tradition during the holidays. I'm going to go over two parts with gifting, the gifting itself and then how to wrap the gift. So our planet can't really support the shop till we drop mentality. So it's time to rethink why we shop and how we shop. So I put on the screen an infographic that I really like. We usually post it each year at Sustainable Kingston. So you try and go from the top to the bottom when you're looking at getting someone a gift. So at the top, you can try and give memories. So although this may be a bit tougher this year than in other years, you can still try and give experience days or events. So for example, things are still open like the screening room downtown and any outdoor activities like skating or outdoor sports. Then below that, giving your time. So sharing your skills, say someone really wants to learn how to knit or how to bake, giving your time and teaching them how to do that. Upcycling is a great way to give new life to old things. Buying secondhand, going to local thrift stores, or there's a lot of avenues on Facebook, like Facebook Marketplace or free and for sale groups where you can also give new life to something. Then you can try and make something I really like to bake treats for my friends. When it comes to gift giving, try and think that you're not buying a gift just to buy a gift for someone. It's a lot better when you put meaning into it, or when you follow this hierarchy, it's a lot more thoughtful. And then look into buying ethically and buying locally. So there's actually a few resources in Kingston for this. Both Downtown Kingston and Tourism Kingston have posted holiday gift guides, which detail lots of local places that have great gifts. There's also a few Christmas markets in Kingston. There's the Memorial Center Farmers Market. There's the West Market Kingston, Kingston Holiday Market, McKinnon Brothers Outdoor Holiday Market. You can also look on the Sustainable Kingston website or sustainably.eco for sustainable local businesses that you want to support. Then when it comes to cards, try and look for cards that have the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, and be sure to either recycle or compost your cards, or I like to turn them into decorations for the next year. And when it comes to wrapping your gifts, as that stat we mentioned earlier, covering Kingston 15 times each year, it's good to rethink the way you wrap something. Sometimes the dyes used on regular wrapping paper are too intense, or there's plastic lining, so it's often too inefficient or cost prohibitive to recycle them. So a few ideas instead. Boho and Hobo is a local eco store, and they have a video on their Facebook page about how to wrap sustainably using some of their products. You can also just use newspaper to wrap. You can use recyclable brown paper. You can use fabric to wrap gifts that you can reuse. You can learn how to wrap presents without tape. You can reuse string, wool, ribbons, avoiding glitter, and opting for reusable gift wraps and bags. Previously, I have given a scarf or a clothing item as the gift, and I have wrapped a different part of the gift in that clothing item. Or sometimes I have taken the scarf back if I am not gifting that. And yeah, so it's just rethinking about the whole process, the whole lifeline of it. Wrapping paper is just to transport and cover it up, so why not be more sustainable with it? So yeah, in a nutshell, that is the sustainable holiday ideas. I will also be sending out a one-pager that summarizes that and has the different links to, for example, the Guesstimator that I mentioned and the Love Food, Hate Waste campaign with all the recipes. If you want to look at this after, you can also check out the recording. If there's any questions right now, you can put them in the chat box, or you can email me after at tess@sustainablekingston.com. Yeah, thank you. I can also turn off the mute option. So if you would prefer to speak instead of chat, that can be an option. Awesome. Glad people like some of these ideas.
Yeah, thanks, Tess. That was awesome. And as she mentioned, the video will be available in case anyone wants to refer back to it for any tips and tricks.
Yep. I do also suggest a lot of local businesses are supporting each other and doing little combo packages. For example, I know Cher Mare was doing one with Black Dog Hospitality, Kingston Olive Oil Company, and some others. So it should be pretty easy to find some good local packages. Awesome. So if there's no questions, I will post this recording either later today or tomorrow, and I can send out an email to everyone who registered with the one pager, so you can have a little summary sheet for when you are celebrating this month. Awesome. So I hope everyone has a really good holiday season. And remember to check out the Kingston Climate Change Symposium this January 14th, featuring Severin Cullis Suzuki. Thanks so much to Sustainable Queens for partnering with us on this.